What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Throwing Tantrums. Today we have the whole crew. Today's topic is toxic cultures in dance competition teams.
I'm just here with questions. What was it like in the competitive scene? Like, what were the downs? Let's start with the downs.
Right.
We'll end with the ups. We'll end with the ups.
Okay. All right. So I spent a couple months on a pretty big performing crew. And during the time of COVID, a lot of stuff came to light about the head choreographer. I didn't see anything like myself personally. So this is all stuff that I heard happening to crewmates, people that I knew. And the thing that really gets me about it is you're dealing with a lot of kind of younger people. A lot of the people that like dance are inspired because of what they see on YouTube or they see their favorite choreographers doing things. And one of the things that I've always thought about is I don't think a lot of these choreographers and a lot of these adults really understand what it means to be in charge of young people. Mm-hmm. And it sounds very cliche, but it's, with great power comes great responsibility. Yep. And a lot of these people probably weren't looking to be in charge of 90 young adults or young kids. And then when you got these kids that idolize the choreographer, they're like, oh my God, I've been watching you since WAD 2015 or WAD 2013, and now it's 4 years later. You got people that are willing to do whatever they possibly can to please these individuals. And that can lead to some really, really messed up stuff. Like, I remember thinking to myself when I was practicing with this team, we had rehearsal on Sunday night from 8 o'clock to midnight. And I would always show up late because I was working Sunday nights and I worked at a restaurant. And so I told my choreographer, I was like, look, I cannot make it on time, but I still paid my dues. And when I showed up late every single day, I still did my 60 push-ups or up-downs or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of thought that was normal. And I'm like, this is fine. It's fine that I'm killing myself to make it late to this crew, that I'm paying money to be on this crew, just for them to tell me, oh, you're not good enough, so we're not going to use you in this piece. We're not going to have you here. But you still got to show up to the performance, and you got to be in costume just like everybody else. And I was like, absolutely, what else can I do? And then when you take a step back and you really think about that, and you really think about how much of their lives these kids are giving, it's kind of scary. And then you do have individuals that I think abuse that power and in really, really messed up ways. So they canceled the choreographer and the entire crew just kind of fell apart. It all happened during coronavirus. It all happened around the Me Too movement. And it's good that this stuff's being acknowledged, but I think there are in fact a lot of stories that probably don't get told or don't get shared. And a lot of people kind of just suffer in silence about this stuff. Like right now, think about it. Imagine the person you idolize the most, whether it's a celebrity or a movie star or a dancer. To what lengths would you go to please that person?
Yeah.
I'd do anything for Emeroy.
And while that's great, when you think about someone like a really good parent or a really good teacher, now think about how abused that can be in the wrong hands. So kind of there's your answer, in my opinion. So
I would like to ask you, because you also have experiences with the same team. So please.
Perfect. Because I actually wanted to back off of what Ryan said, because I'm pretty sure we're talking about the same crew. So I'll drop it. And just for clarification, this is my first time talking about it openly. So just thinking about memories. So the crew I'm specifically talking about, they're called Academy of Villains, or AOV. And if you don't know what happened during the whole coronavirus thing, I suggest you look up videos and then you'll understand why this crew was canceled and the choreographer. So a little bit of backstory how I joined that crew. So 2014, I was inspired by their Bay Area Golden Army set. If you haven't seen that, it's pretty crazy, and that's what got me hooked to want to join them. And I auditioned for them late 2014 and got in. So And this is my first time like ever doing something big in terms of like joining the dance company and then traveling to go to rehearsals and paying for rehearsals. Like what Ryan said, I was pretty impressionable as like a youth, just trying to figure out like what am I doing in this dance community, or like what are the routine that I have to understand to follow or whatever, because I don't know any better, obviously. So first rehearsal that I can recall with ALV, we would do these quote unquote buck drills. So just to have an idea of what that is, if that doesn't make any sense to you. Again, big crew, so it's like we do 3 separate lines because there's a lot of us, and then the entire line just does like this same movement. So example, if we're doing this, the person in the front is usually core, and core is like, if you don't know what that means, it's like the people who've been part of that company for a very long time. If they deem the person in front doing the move correctly, that person in front has to move all the way to the back, and then the line moves forward, and that person second becomes first, and they have to do the exact same thing. So when it was my turn, keep in mind there's a lot of us. So let's just, I think I was like somewhere in the middle, and there's at least like 10 or 12 people in front of me. So keep that in mind as we're doing these drills. It's just consistent. So I get to the front, and this is my first time in rehearsal, so I'm just like trying to hit this move as clean as possible.
But as possible.
Exactly. It's like buck drills or whatever for intensified workouts or whatever. So I get to the front, and I'm like pretty gassed out at this point. I have like no stamina, no energy or whatsoever. Again, first time with a big crew, so I have like nothing in the tank left. One of the core members were like, stop, sorry for language. There's like, she came up to me and said, stop hitting like a bitch. And I was just like, I can't. And I'm just like, okay, this is normal, whatever, just hit harder. And I'm like super gassed out. And then by the time I'm just like, all right, just get the fuck out of here. And I was like, okay. And then I'm just in the back, and I'm just like super gassed out. I'm like, and we're still doing these drills, and there's still more people gassed out too. And everyone's just yelling and stuff. Like, it was very militant, and that was normal. And then it was just like, I'm so tired. And it's like, but this is what I want. I'm in a dance crew now, so I got to do this. And then backpacking, once again, off what Ryan said about rehearsals. Hell Week was literal Hell Week, because I remember, it was, we were prepping for Vibe 2015, and that set was the Day of the Dead set, which is also a really good set.
Yeah.
So we were doing nonstop rehearsals. We would show up, I believe, Sundays was like 8 to 12, and then weekdays was like 9 to 1, and then Saturdays was like 9 to 2 or something like that. We had ridiculous hours for an entire week. And then we were just nonstop just doing these buck drills and like doing the choreography back to back to back. And then I wasn't in a set yet, like for the piece. So I'm trying my hardest, like trying to, make sure like I want to be in a piece because like I'm inviting my family and stuff like that. And then that's a whole like mindset in itself, because like I want my family to be like, oh, you're not wasting time like just dancing. You're actually doing something cool, which obviously hits home for a lot of people, because it's like, you want to show them that you like, this means a lot to you. So going back to that rehearsal, we're just training, right? I'm in the corner trying to learn the piece. My vision slowly, like, how like it like in movies where like it starts to go black and then it started like the vision goes this way. That was basically me. I almost blacked out. So and I was still hitting hard like for all the choreography we were doing that night. And yeah, I almost blacked out. Like, that scene in like Naruto when like Rock Lee was like just standing and like his vision was like gone. That was basically me. And I think we were only like 2 hours into that rehearsal that day. So I was just like gassed out. But again, I was so like, this is what I have to do in order to be like placed in the set or like be a part of a crew. Like I have to like be to the breaking point and like overexert myself. So, but yeah, again, I didn't know any better. So, but yeah, long story short, I wasn't casted in the set at all. My thing, and no one knows about this, and I lied to my parents that I was a part of that set, like actually did things. My only job was everyone, like, you can watch the video. When everyone goes on stage, we're all in like a triangle like set. There's like 60 plus of us, so it's like a gang of people. And then what some people did was like, we had candles in our hands because they had a dead set. So my thing was, 5, 6, 7, 8, lift candle, off stage.
Atmosphere.
Yeah. A bunch of us were set as atmosphere. But unironically, and then if a homie watches this video, I'm sorry, but I told my parents I was you. And you were in like three of the pieces of that set. Because unironically, and I'm sorry once again if you ever watch this video, we're both Filipino and we're both the same height.
And with the crew, like you probably wear like face paint.
Yeah.
Like that's me.
Exactly. So we wore makeup and stuff, and we were the same height. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry to the homie if you actually watch this video, but I told my parents I was you, and which long story, like way after when I thought about it, because like that wasn't right for me to do that, just because I wanted to save my image to my parents that like, yo, I'm dancing, so this is what I do now. But no, it's this whole toxic mindset of just like, oh, we're gonna tell you to do it this way, and then it's like, okay, I'll do it this way, and it's like, yeah, you have to be in that piece for this set, and then you'll be great, or whatever the mindset was. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna work really hard to the point of blacking out. And then when it comes time to like, yeah, you're just in the atmosphere, I'm like, fuck.
Fair reaction.
Yeah.
Valid.
So I've kept that a secret for, let's see, 2015 was the last thing I did with them. And then I was driving from Lancaster to West Coast Dance Theater, which was in like the Valley at the time.
Oh my gosh.
So I was like, they know I commute to any dance event because like that's just me. We commute. Me and Spills, we're like the furthest for everyone. But no, I commuted. I paid my dues. I did all the push-ups whenever I fucked up a move. Like that was AOV's militant standard. Like if you messed up, even during rehearsal, like you're just learning it. Like no, 20 push-ups right now. Like, and how that affected me was like the community college I taught at. Sorry for any homies that watch this video. I implemented the push-up rule. If you fuck up, you have to do push-ups. And I would like belligerently tell them, hey, push-ups or you're out. And then that whole mindset just changed. Yeah, it's just crazy how being influenced as like a dancer that doesn't really know anything, just like you're a sponge and now you're sponging that to someone else. And it's crazy. And then, just sucks because it changed me a lot as a person. Yeah.
It makes sense that you guys are wearing matching beanies too.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so secular beanie and so like gray shorts. Yeah.
It's just so ingrained.
Wait, so because you mentioned Hell Weeks, and honestly, when I heard you guys talking about like 9 to 1,
Yeah.
okay, that sounds tame compared to the other stories I heard.
Yeah.
Where it's 9 to 6.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Do you mean 9 a.m. to 1 a.m.? That sounds about right.
All right. So for clarification, it was from like 9 p.m. to like 1 a.m. and then like 8 p.m. to like midnight and so on and so forth. And then the last thing I want to bring up, because this is another part of the story that I haven't talked about, and only my mom knows about it. The day my car broke down, I wasn't able to like commute. We were prepping for Body Rock that following year. I forgot what set it was, but anyway, I had to make the call to Crystal, one of the co-founders of AOV, and then I told her, hey, I can't make it out there anymore. I have to leave the crew because my car broke down and then there's like no way I can afford to get another car. Yeah. And she was like, is that it? And I'm like, yeah, I just can't commute out there anymore. I was like, okay, well, if you are able to come back, then let us know. So, I mean, her response was kind of like meh to begin with, but towards the end, she was like, well, if you want to come back, let us know. And after I made that call, I told my mom about it. And then I was like, I really didn't want to make that call. And then all of a sudden, I just started crying. Like, I bawled out in front of my mom. I was like, this is something I really wanted to do, like stay like within this crew because like I wanted to grow and like, you know, this is something really big for me in terms of like dance. And then I just kept crying and she was like, it's okay, like there's other opportunities and stuff like that, so just don't cry. But I just kept crying because my impression was like, this is it for me. But looking back at it now, like I shouldn't have cried. That was a waste of energy. But yeah, it's LV low-key fucked up my initiative of like what being in a dance crew was like, you know.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense that it was natural for you to cry because it's like something you're passionate about. It's also like you poured your literal blood, sweat, and tears in it.
Yeah.
So to let go of that is essentially letting go of part of your identity. So,
Yeah. I lost a lot of who I was during, because that vibe set, the way Chris Jennings, aka Farside, was trying to hype us up for that set, he was just belligerently just saying, "Yo, fuck GRV, fuck Hiyori Emeroy." He was just belittling everyone. He was belittling everyone, just saying, "No, AOV is the best" and all that stuff. I even heard stories for like the Golden Army set, because AOV was trying to like one up Royal Family, because Royal Family was performing at that event as well. Yeah. And then I was hearing stories like they had a whole week, and then day of they were still practicing in the parking lot that whole set, and then they went on stage and did the exact same thing, but they were still just belittling like anyone, and it was crazy. And then I started belittling people, and then I don't know why, it's just like, well, they're doing it, so I'll do it. But I made that post, I changed the caption, and then eventually just deleted the post altogether, because it was like, this doesn't sound like me anymore. I don't even know who I am at that point. So no, toxicity is real, and then there are certain people that shouldn't be in power of impressionable youths or like impressionable dancers that are trying to figure it out themselves. Like, and it sucks for everyone else that like had way more worse things happen to them because of this choreographer. But like I'm pretty sure a lot of us had like a lot of mental problems because of that crew, so it kind of sucks.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, dude. And just to like bounce off, what's our own experiences? Have you guys had hell weeks, choreographers, anything?
So I kind of have somewhat of a different perspective. I think rivalries can be good, but there's definitely a way to do it right. Just coming from more of the b-boy scene, I think they do it somewhat right, because at the end of the day, they all both sides normally shake hands. Normally.
Respect.
Normally. Or they get the baguettes.
Or they get kicked.
or they get mad and they call the judges and they battle the judges.
What?
The fight just gets bigger.
But my point is, I think rivalries are good, but there's a right way to do it, and it's not through belittling, saying that you get like these guys are literally not superior. They had different journeys, different experiences, different people, and I think it's important to acknowledge that. And I feel like I actually kind of went through a similar phase where I was starting to belittle some crews, and it's a terrible, toxic mindset. It's not worth it. It's not worth your time. You said crying was a waste of time and energy. That's a waste of time and energy.
Yeah, I'm lucky crying right now. So.
You can high-key cry. You can
high-key cry.
Yeah.
We got you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing.
Yeah,
There's only 1,000 people watching.
Not a million.
There's 1,000 people, and one of those is the homie I told my mom, "Oh, that's me."
And I was like,
I'm gonna keep an eye on the
if I'm a
comments.
good homie, then I'd be like, no, it's okay, please. No, I got you. That was you.
No, the funny thing about that is like I never told him. So he doesn't know to this day. Like I was just like, "Hey, mom, that's me."
Toxic culture. I mean, it was normal in high school, it was normal for me to like get to practice at like 6 a.m. and to practice till 8. And then Saturdays were like 13-hour rehearsals. This is at high school.
Yeah.
But I thought that was just normal because it was like, we won. They're still winning.
To this day, yeah.
To this day, yeah.
Look at this guy.
I don't know. The difference is, I guess, like there was some sort of balance because the coaches, obviously, they have to deal with the school district.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's easy how that kind of like extra work ethic can make it easily influenceable, easily influenced by other people who push those extra hours. Like, oh, this is normal in high school. It's normal for this team. Minus, so, I mean, I just was not a fan of like rehearsing until 3 a.m. And like, shout out to Mark and everyone who like their process and whatnot. It's just, I was at a point where I figured like there's got to be a much more efficient way to do things than overwork ourselves, especially those who have jobs or a regular life, or at that point, a newborn. trying to balance all that out, because it's to me, the way I view it is that like you want most people, they clock out from their 9 to 5, done, and you're out. So it doesn't make sense to ask more from volunteers who are also paying. So that just never made sense to me. So yeah, I mean, I think that's where I adapted the mentality of like, put me in one section, I'm done, because I still got to participate. I still got to touch the stage for like a second. Because what I would used to do like during those rehearsals, like I would rehearse until 12, and then Jordan's mom, she hadn't been danced for a long time, and I wanted her to experience that more than I did. So I would leave at 12. I would go to because we were living at separate places. I would go to her house. I would be with my son and sleep with him for a little bit until she gets home from practice at 4 a.m. And then I wake up, go home, go sleep for a little bit, wake up at like 6 to take them to drive his mom to the college that she was at. So it was like, so it was like just not a fan. Like this is one of the reasons why I run things the way they are. I like morning rehearsals because I have the rest of the day. Because like a regular job. That's what I aspire. Like I want us to, if this is going to be a quote unquote professional thing, that's one thing too. Like competitive teams saying like, oh, you got to be professional. Bitch, if you're professional, there's got to be checks. Otherwise, we're just amateurs. Like posing as professionals, and there would actually be guidelines and way you treat your employees. Otherwise, it's workplace abuse.
HR.
So, but yeah, that's one of the reasons. Like I aspire. There's certain things that I aspire us to be. It's a lot of it's still work in progress, which is also like that's the kind of the experience I came from, just a little bit. So.
Are there hip hop crews that pay their crews, or is it always that the crews pay to be on it?
So going off of that, a lot of the hip hop crews mostly are people in college. Mostly, if they're in college, then they don't really have any money. And a lot of them are like on student loans. If they have jobs, then they are trying to pay for rent. And it's as much as we like, a lot of the hip hop crews are not like funded by schools. A lot of them are just on campus and they're like trying to find places to practice. If you're not like at UCI, if you're not a part of the dance school, then you can't use the studios. So some people in the studios for like the team that I was on, we had some people who were in the dance major, and then they would let us, or like they'd open the studio. But a lot of the crews, they were not, some of them weren't even a part of the school, but they would just be a part of the crew, and the crew would just dance at the school. So it wasn't like we were, and then we also, because we didn't have money, or like the crew didn't have money. So it's like, okay, like what do you had to pay for rehearsal space, or you had to pay for costumes. And so that's why a lot of it was self-funded. And like the concept of being paid as a dancer started to become a lot more like, I think through the years, especially after I got out of college, I was like, oh, you can be paid like regular money. Before that, we were like, for different performances, we might be like comp tickets or like get certain like benefits. And that even after that, like even at that point before then, there was a lot of essentially like you as an individual paying and then investing your time, which I think personally for me, I don't regret any of the time. I think I was really lucky to be on a crew that wasn't like we did practice, like we had Hell Weeks, we would practice till like 6 a.m. Like seeing the sun was not unheard of. It was very, very, very normal, especially within the community. Like during Hell Week, it's vibe. You have your Hell Week, you're there, and then you perform, and then most people are really tired. But with cookies, like specifically with choreo cookies and SD run by Keone and Mari, we would hear that they only practice 3 times this week, and they don't have to stay, but they look so good. They won first. How does this make sense? Because there was a part of the culture that if you put in hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, that means that you're going to do well. Whereas like when you kind of get older and you get like you have a little more perspective, you have more experience, you're like, oh, there's a thing called recovery. Where there recovery and also like good like mental health too. Like you can't like the more that you talk down to your dancers, like they're not gonna do as well.
Yeah.
Like the more oh my gosh. Yeah, what? And the more that you actually like hype them up, the more that you like feed positive or like give them like positive feedback, the more that you actually nurture them, the better they do. And that just took years of being around and dancing with a lot of different people to understand, especially when you're young.
Just for people listening, like just to give some definitions. When we say community, we specifically are talking about the LA competitive collegiate community, because there's a distinction also of the industry, which is obviously you're working in the dance industry. But then there's also another one that I didn't become aware of until 2016, which is the theater dance part of that industry, which has nothing to do with industry, nothing to do with the competitive community. It's just all being the theater.
Concert dance.
More concert dance.
That's the world I come from.
So
it's like concert dance. So the concept of not getting paid to perform is like wild to me.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow. Wait, so talk about your experience.
Let me just give another explanation, just to further answer your question. I would like to hear you. Because the question was, is there any hip hop crews that actually pay? The one I was in, yes. It was called Antics Dance Crew, dance company, a dance theater company. Similar, they paid hourly for rehearsals. So we got this is 2016. We got paid $15 an hour for rehearsals. We got paid for traveling, touring, stipend, all the good stuff. It was it was a really good situation. It was a team of beasts. So if you guys are familiar with any of you guys listening, B-Boy Crumbs was in it. A couple people from. Okay, no, it was We Are Heroes.
Okay.
She was part of We Are Heroes. Yeah. So it was a very beast cast.
Yeah.
What the heck? I was
They
like,
paid hourly. They paid well for at the time. There's another organization that I was part of. They're also a nonprofit that you don't have to pay. You just didn't get paid. They're an all-style crew in LA. I love this organization. The only problem is that they don't pay their dancers. That's the only that's why I know some of the members left, because it's a professional company, but you're not paying your dancers. Again, that's the thing, the distinction that I have. If you're not paying your dancers, I don't know if you should be calling a professional company.
Yeah.
So I come from like more of a modern contemporary background, and then when I moved to LA, I wanted to like explore more hip hop, street jazz and all that jazz funk stuff. But yeah, when my experience with dance in that scene is you always, even if you're an apprentice on a company, you're getting paid just way less than like the actual company dancer. Every company I've been on, there are some companies that their apprentices don't get paid, but they don't pay. It's like your free training. You get to train with the company. You get opportunities to perform.
That's cool.
If you're asked to perform, then they typically will pay you for your performance rate, which they pay the same rate for you, even if you're not a company member, which is really cool, but you don't get paid for rehearsals. Then once you're a company member, you're getting paid hourly for rehearsals, per dance for shows, all of the things. So like, that's so like to just, I understand there's like different funding. I know that most contemporary and modern companies are funded by like grants and there's a lot of art grants. And I think that hip hop probably doesn't have the same, or throughout history hasn't had the same level of respect in like the art community and like the funders and like the donors and stuff. They didn't see it as like art as much as they do like contemporary and modern and postmodern, but that's obviously shifting. And I think today it's becoming a way more respected art form, which is really cool. But yeah, that's just so fascinating, and to take advantage of people in that way.
Yeah, like the crew that I just mentioned, Antics, they're nonprofit, got grants. They that's how the dancers were able to get paid, which is we didn't have to pay for rehearsals, which is the ideal situation again I want for us. Like prior to this year, no one was paying for much at anything. So it's just a different model right now of should we go to nonprofit or should we continue trying to make our own thing and essentially treat it like a startup.
Yeah.
And you've only been around for 4 years.
Yeah, about 4. So
yeah. So you're like working, there's obviously like growing pains.
Yeah.
Normal.
Yeah.
And one of those years was COVID.
Oh gosh.
We don't count that.
Technically 3 years. Yeah.
2 years.
We got a year stolen.
So yeah, I mean, even that year was kind of like one of the years that we kind of had to figure out how to be efficient as a team. Like December 2020, like doing our first video was to Shake It Out. It was we only had, and we had 2 projects that year. We only had, and we didn't know when the next lockdown was going to be.
Yeah.
So we would learn an entire routine in one rehearsal. Following weekend was we would shoot.
Yeah.
And this is kind of why we have like a fast paced kind of thing. We learn everything as much as we can, but we keep going. It's very fast paced, but like
fast mode.
Going off of that, this is doing this when I came on a Temper Tantrum, that I always thought that it had to take months to get to a solid routine and have a solid performance. I used to think it took like 3 months, and then that would be routine. And then I come over here, like I learn quickly, and then you block, and I'm like, oh, we're done. It doesn't have to be this way. My mind was blown, and that was one of the things that I noticed in my very first rehearsal. I was like, we're done already. Like I've been like. When you dance with like other talented dancers and you know that they're that good, even previously, like it really just depends on who's running it and how they're structuring everything. Like that's like that just like blew my mind, and then I was like, oh, like perfect. I have so much time for everything else. Will we get money too? Yay!
Also continuing the story off that, like we didn't have some of the revenue streams we had back then, so we did a Kickstarter and we were able to, I think, fundraise $12,000.
Yeah, Kickstarter.
So, and then from that, we were able to pay the venue and also pay the dancers, depending on what your involvement was. If you did both projects, you got like $700. If you did one project, $300.
Yeah.
If you're a choreographer, you had an additional bonus. So this is like, and then I documented the whole process of giving the checks away. That's what I still aspire to this day, is the satisfaction of giving checks. You guys share your story of hell weeks, late hours, or toxic cultures. I mean, we've had our.
So I started dancing when I was like 11, and I grew up with like studio dancing. So I basically danced in middle school for like 40 hours a week, every night. It's super expensive. Love my parents for everything they've done for me, but like. I would say I was one of the lucky ones because I was neutral. I was never siding on one side, because in the studio there's always 2 sides. Someone who is with the owner, someone who's separate from the owner. And it's like, yes, we were winning. We got to dance with the Dance Moms people. We got to do halftime shows. We got to do all this stuff, but the sole reason why I was in the dance scene was for the people. I wanted to be in, my group. And, we grew up with this dance teacher. And soon enough, as we got older, my teacher noticed that we were going to leave because we were going to graduate. We were going to go to high school. We're going to go to college. We're going to do all these things. And we built so much trust, and, like people would come and go in our company, but we were the 5 that would stay with her. We built the company. Before it wasn't even a studio, we were practicing in people's houses, and we grew the company there. It became like this huge thing. People started coming from different schools. People started to, hey, can we train with you guys, and all that kind of stuff. But full circle, she didn't understand how to teach like teenagers. And circling back all again, she would give us those, hey, you did that wrong. Do 15 push-ups. When we were 12, 13, 14, 15. Yes, I would fake them for sure. I would fake them for sure because I knew it was like, this is BS. You're not gonna count my 15. Like, and we would have to run the dance 10 or 20 times, and we're praying that she wasn't sitting on her director chair looking at us, because we all knew we were just taking breaths at that point. You know, if you do a dance over and over and over a time, sometimes it's just brain fog.
Yeah, diminishing returns.
I just want to point out, if the choreographer says again, one last time, it's a lie.
It's never one last time.
It's never
Two more times.
Yeah.
2 to 3.
It's 2 to 3.
I gotta say, with my kids, I really try to say, like, if I do 2 more times, we actually only do 2 more times.
Gosh.
Yeah, but then sometimes it's just like one extra time,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, but then you see them like repeating it, and like and like coming from this seat, like coming from like previous like very critical and very like negative responses. I'm like, okay, well, we can have them run it again, but also still encourage them.
Mm-hmm.
There's a way to have them do the repetitions and still encourage them through, as opposed to being like, you're a shit dancer.
No, yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine saying that to like an 11-year-old? Like, no.
Like, imagine that.
That was
And
actually
like
kind
the most important part, like I don't mind doing like routines over and over again. It's supposed to be constructive.
Yeah.
You know, the song is not supposed to stay on repeat and you go talk to other parents on the outside. This is what she would do.
Good Lord.
And of course, whenever she would come back, we'd be like, yeah, we did 10. We did 10 for sure. It's been like 10 minutes since you were gone, but we did 10. And she would be like, yeah, whatever. But it's that got me, you know? Like, it stopped being so much like, I want to dance with these people, to more like, these two sides are fighting.
Yeah.
And I'm in the middle. I'm cool with my owner. I'm cool with my closest friends. They left. Oh, it's not. Now all the shine is gonna be on me, because I'm the only one left that's like cool with you now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. You know.
Yeah.
That's
To like piggyback on that. So like I was also a studio kid. I started when I was like 4 years old, and that's like the shit where like, you have like some older kid teaching younger kids, and then you start doing teams.
Mm-hmm.
And I started with technical, jazz, ballet, and I had, so when I was like probably 4 through 7, I had very nice teachers. They were very positive and encouraging. And then one of them left, and she's like, oh, this is my friend from Hollywood. She's very, industry. And so, bummer. From that point on, until I was about in middle school, I joined a different dance team in that company. But it was military. It was telling, like, how old were we? Like 8 years old. Like, you guys are shit dancers. Like, you're not supposed to do it like this. Yeah. And of course, we were on, like, I used to be a part of the, I think it was like the core jazz team. And there was a lot of girls on there they just had higher skill levels. And like, I remember one of them, she went to be on, it was on was it America's Got Talent? No, it was like a big show. I think it was,
So you think you could dance?
no, but it was like,
Okay.
I think it was Stars and
Next.
I don't remember, but it was like
Next
some
Generation.
big TV show, and she could do like flips and shit. So she was out there, and she was like the number one of the studio. But like it all became focusing on like those 1 or 2 girls that could do everything, and all the girls that had like lower skill levels, they were just kind of like tossed to the side. Yeah. We were told like, we'll like put you back here. We'll not put you in this piece. And it just like
Back center.
it really, as a kid, I would like have breakdowns and start crying because I was like, I don't want to go to dance. Like, I'm not having fun anymore. My best friend is over there. I don't even see her anymore. I'm getting yelled at all the time. And I was like, man, like, this is a real bummer, right? So then I joined another dance team, and it was a lot more safe, a lot more fun. But I gotta say, I mean, this is also like any setting with kids ever. There's gonna be bullies, right? And I would definitely say, as far as teaching, I mean, whatever is fed to you, you're going to regurgitate, whether that's teaching other people or performing or anything. And there was just a lot of power trips. And I think same with like crews too, like people will just become power hungry and be like, this, this is how it's supposed to be. This is what you're supposed to do. I don't care. Like, your emotions don't matter. It's what your product is, what you give to us.
Facts.
And I really haven't, the first time I was in a crew that I did not experience that is, I gotta say, with you guys, like, actually, because we're all like adults now. And when you trust people to put in their own work and effort and pay their own dues, like, that's how it should be, Yeah. And I gotta say, like, teaching kids is such a huge deal that we need to study more.
Yeah.
Because
Agreed.
The use.
Yeah.
Come on.
For the use.
To not be a statistic. Like, it kind of concerns me how easy it is to become a teacher in like most environments.
None. There's no regulation at all.
Yeah.
You should have to be like CPR certified, background check at the very least.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, you should have some sort of like injury prevention training.
Babysitters go through more vetting.
Yeah, because especially you're dealing with a whole bunch of kids. I remember the first time I coached a junior team, like of like 11 all the way till 16, 17. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Because I thought I was just like the cool older brother because I was like in my mid-20s and they trusted me in that because I was already teaching regular classes at that point. But even then, like, I remember just being petrified to teach kids because I'm like, what if I fuck them up?
It's kind of like me right now because when I was in middle school, I was on the dance team and that was a great environment. It was very fun. I have like this opportunity to like come back and teach, or like when the teacher's absent, I'm like, I want to ask her like, can I like shadow you for a bit? Because I do not know how to approach like teaching or taking care of middle school kids. Like I want to like take the best approach possible. Like, and she's like, you could just show up. I'm like, really? I don't think that's how it should be. Like, I don't know.
Wait.
Middle school age is like volatile.
Oh yeah.
She's like, all you need is a degree, and I'm like, well, I mean, mine's an animation. Like, I don't.
Which works. This
but back to like being a studio kid dancer and like being a sponge that absorbs everything. Growing up technical, I was trained to be like keep everything still, be focused. Like everything is blades. Your mentality, your posture, your focus. And so that's why when I started doing hip hop after high school, I was like, oh, we're supposed to be like freestyling, loose. Like, well, what's your inner fire? I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm the best. Like, even to this day, when it comes to freestyling, I'm like, okay, wait, no, think, no, don't think. Okay, it's a mix up of what I'm used to. So, yeah, and like this world is so much fun because it's just more lighthearted and it gives you like a freedom of choice. I mean, industry is harsh rules and regulations, but. Well, and I would say that this, like the hip hop teams are becoming more respected in the art culture, but I mean, we're still getting there. Mm-hmm. But it's just the worlds are like, what is this? What would you call this age where, I always say this, it's the internet curse where like, we have so much accessibility to everything and like to each other. So that's why all art communities are navigating their way through growth in this stage. And I really appreciate where we are right now.
It's interesting because, like, I'm opposite. I've always felt more comfortable in freestyle because I come from breakdancing. I was happy. I'm a happy dancer.
Don't do it so blocking like that.
Like that.
But it's interesting because for me, it's opposite. When I went into coming from a breakdance background, I started pretty late. I was like 13, 14, but I loved the crap out of it. I always practiced. But when I moved back here from the States, I'm not going to go into depth with my backstory, but I got no boy. But I got introduced actually to choreography in college. Rest in peace, audio mine. But it's kind of how I got introduced to a different thing. When I first joined, it was funny because I thought that, this is gonna be easy. I can do windmills. I can do easy peasy. That was the worst. I literally, after first day of practice, I went in the corner and started breakdancing on my own.
I would see that. I would share. When I
audio mine also?
my first like crew, because I remember I graduated high school. I was in color guard, which is also very military, and there's a whole lot of trauma in that, and just how band directors are. But that's a whole thing.
Oh,
you ever seen Whiplash? Yeah. It's actually just like
Oh man.
We could ask Annie on that. She's
Annie,
a color guard.
Yeah.
Oh, the guardians.
Is Annie okay though?
Oh, we should have
I know. She's okay now.
The Guardians.
Yeah.
With
Like,
our-
the only time I had a six pack in my life was when I was like 6 years old doing Pilates with like the industry people. So there were like other guard options. Like what was it like?
drum corps,
Drum corps and
winter guard.
all the independent winter guards.
Mhm.
But I was like, no, I miss just dancing, and I miss the more. There was more community to that, in my opinion, or in my experience. And so I was going to COC, and I was like, I literally don't know what groups to join. I don't know what is out there, but I heard there's this group called Audio Mind at COC. The auditions are today. I know nobody. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but I showed up, and then I honestly would not be here if I didn't go to that audition that one day.
You see this random kid break
one of the things-
Yeah, it was just so many people doing different things, and I'm like, what is going on?
It's chaos.
Yeah, it wasn't like formal. It was just like, oh, they're all just college kids doing things for college kids. Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
will say I do enjoy the college scene at UCI because during Welcome Week it's just a whole bunch of activities. Like all of these different teams are having free workshops, and they're like, I'm like, ooh, it's free. Then it's like free dance training. You get to just go and just like jump in the community. People have workshops every day. So it's like a week. Like if you're a dancer, it's like a festival. It's really cool. Like they have performances every single day. All the crews have. It's like a it's like, I don't know. I feel like it's like Coachella. I've never been to Coachella, but like Welcome Week at UCI is wild. It's really cool, and it's a great way to like if you haven't been introduced to the community. That's how I got in. Like I would go to workshops, I'd go to like Cabo's workshops, I would go to CG workshops, and then they would have auditions, and I'm like, ooh, I can go get experience. That is exactly what I thought. There was an audition. My first audition was for Common Ground, and I was trying to study bio, and then I was just falling asleep, and then Pat Packin comes up to me and he's like, are you okay? Because I was falling asleep, and I was like, yes, I am now. If you don't know who that is, he's on Magic Mike. So yeah, but like that was nice. Like as a college student, you're going in, you're like, I have no idea what's going on. Like I have like, there's so many other people that are also just trying to find themselves, and then that's a nice way to just like introduce yourself or like be introduced, because like because everyone is like on their game. Everyone's like really friendly. Everyone's tabling. They're like, yeah, come to our workshops. Like, and there's just so many new people. And so like if you are a young person and you want to get into the community, go to UCI.
Go to UCI.
But also student loans. So maybe like a community college.
Colts.
So go to like a college maybe around that's not as expensive, or unless you can fund yourself or you're funded. So
Look at the statistics.
Yeah, look at the statistics.
I mean, I was just gonna say, just go to community college and drive there, because most colleges don't care. Like,
it doesn't even matter.
I gave a tour to a buddy of mine to CSUN, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't know." They don't care. They didn't. He was like, "Oh, when did you come here?" I didn't go. I don't go here. I just know where everything is.
Yeah, that's true.
Dance crew.
That's true.
I knew the layout of CSUN before I actually like enrolled there. So yeah,
That's amazing.
And you'll also have like dancers that don't go to the college that are on the college team. Like I know ACA is supposed to be like UCLA students, but a bunch of them don't even go to UCLA.
That's how it was for CADC too. Yeah, you have to be like out of the Chinese Association, but I'm like, not everyone.
I was gonna say I wasn't CSUN BSA. I'm not even Vietnamese. I don't even look Asian to most people.
You're not. You're Christian.
So Hell Week is something that we always talk about off camera. Like, so your experiences of Hell Week, but Hell Week, what are your experiences?
Hey, raise your hand if you've done a whole week.
I don't know.
In high
because
school.
I was on a team that tried to do Hell Weeks,
They
but
couldn't do it well.
they
No,
couldn't.
they couldn't do it well.
So I was like,
How do you not do Hell Week well?
It
You give waters.
They let you go on time.
That's pretty funny.
Because, like, they tried to be all military and, like, oh, you fuck up, do push-ups. But, you know, we would all be so broken and tired, we'd just be like, it's not happening. And, like, yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just kidding. Audio mind. So,
okay.
Wait, we think, oh, you
Yeah, the one after that.
Never mind.
Oh, because I joined audio, like, pretty much a year before it, you know, broke. It disbanded.
Oh.
And then the next one came along.
Yeah. The next one.
And then the next one.
The next chapter.
Another one.
I had pretty
Oh.
good experience. I had a decent experience. I luckily came from a non-broken background.
Wow, you're on like, wow! Look at the statistics here. Shit.
Compared to everyone else that's around me, because I know a lot of people from like the high school scene that went to the same high school as you. Probably like 10 years later, but they went to the same high school as you. I've had people, I mean, my friend Allison, she came from Texas, but she's also well known with Brian Puspos. She knows that Sandbox. Yeah, she was the director of Sandbox. And except, but for me, I just came from a high school background. It wasn't even that bad, according to Justin, because him and I were on the same team.
Coming from like my experience, that's not bad. It could be worse.
When he said that, I was like, okay, maybe I should be grateful that it's not this bad. But the only thing that I felt like was different from me, I guess, in my experience, was everything was self-motivated. Though, like, I was like, oh, she can hold her leg up. I guess I could do that too. The only thing that I had no experience. I had no training. I mean, maybe like the one time in YMCA when I was younger, but like I went like the recreational park classes you would get, but I self-motivated myself to a point where like I worked out for an hour, stretched for 2, pushed myself with weights, had someone push me down. A lot of it was very self-motivated, which I think was great. And then the only teams I've joined is, I'm a former member now, but Team BUK started off with a K-pop group. Already had established themselves. This was before they started getting like, before performing K-Con stages, before opening for a K-pop group and a K-pop artist. And I was like, damn, maybe I should have stayed.
Put down us tickets.
It's okay. It's also similar things. It's self-funded, but I'm broke. So buying costumes, going to Glendale, going to heck, all the way to Pasadena. I'm like, I can't do that. I can't drive. I'm afraid of the freeway. There's no way.
Freeway. All for that. Glendale, bro.
No, but I can't drive. But I also felt like it was a burden because this is something that I do and that I got myself into, and to have my mom or my boyfriend like drive me back and forth to something that they're not even a part of. I had him go for what was so-called Hell Week. And
it was purgatory.
Because we were preparing for Kinsla. It's a K-pop like competition group that if you win, you get to perform for K-Con. So K-Con, as you know, if you're not in the K-pop scene, is an extremely large convention. If it's the anime expo for K-pop. And when we were going through Kinsla, he was there like all the time that we were practicing. It was like a month or 2. We would have Hell Week, and it's very much. I love the directors, but we just messed around. We would try to focus, but every time we tried to focus, we would have too much fun, and then it just went. I mean, we won.
That's a fair
Sir.
That's why it wasn't Hell Week. I like to imagine her rehearsals like 10 hours. Like, we won, so it doesn't matter.
That honestly sounds like a good balanced Hell Week.
Yeah.
Because you enjoyed. Shouts out to TBUK because we're friends.
I know.
But because the common thing is people think you have to work to the bone.
Yeah.
And the people, like we said earlier, we forget the recovery part.
Yep.
We're just more overstressed. We're distressed rather than
We got kicked out of the studio that we were in. Because we used to go to Glendale. Glendale, the studio they had, because the directors were previous dance students. And I guess, we pushed it way too far. It would be like, ends at rehearsal at 11, but we were there until 12. But we kept repeating that, and I guess it was okay that we got kicked out because it was kind of our fault. But we won. We were surprised because we were like, "What?"
Nani? I don't know if because you just reminded me. I forgot what year it was that the
2021 it was the Rams.
The Rams, yeah.
22, sorry.
So they apparently had something similar in terms of the story of like the previous year. They got to where they were and they just worked the whole week, and then when they came to perform, they were just tired. The week when the year that they won, they were a little bit more relaxed, and then they actually won. Because if we go into it already tired, and that means we're below baseline.
Yeah.
So, which is one of the reasons I tell you guys, stop practicing. Intentionally do not practice. Turn your brain off.
I think B-boy have a break.
The B-boys are time protection.
I cannot stop the B-boy. Because I will be here too.
Stop practicing. Stop practicing. Goes to section.
I remember.
Oh, you're sorry.
Well, because to say for that one team, like our water breaks, we run, take a sip, and then run back. Like,
And that's it.
you need to not think about it to really recover. But like it's just on the clock. Don't stop thinking. Or dancing.
There's the part where your brain, you have to let your subconscious do the work for you, which is the rest.
Choreography, because like I'll learn a lot, but like I need to sleep on it.
Yeah.
Like
Like for me, if I had to make an ideal Hell Week, it would just be all 7 days, but like just 2 to 3 hours max. Like more, like you retain more, just doing it more, but you need the time your brain needs to physically rest.
Yeah.
I think that applies to anything, even studying. A lot of people like just like cram.
Being
a lot of college students and say like, I'm learning more. It's like, no, you're not. You think you are.
You're just like doing this. I'm learning. I'm learning. And then nothing.
In an ideal scenario, Hell Weeks wouldn't be an option if the plan was, if everything was already set up ahead
You don't
of
need a
time.
Hell Week.
In theory, but most people.
Would it even be called Hell Week then?
Regular week.
It's just week.
Oh,
I remember one of the teams I was on called it a Heaven Week.
Because you train. What was it? Someone always said this. I forgot. Lauren Chulosophy, shout out. She always said you train like hell so you can make the set look like heaven.
Yes.
So that's why I think it does make sense.
Yeah, I think that's where the the misunderstanding of working hard during rehearsals happens. Like, where people are intentionally being assholes to each other. You don't have to give each other a hard time to work hard.
Yes.
I feel like we work hard, especially with the amount of stuff we learn, but we're also having a good time doing it, which makes it a little bit more fun. Like the way I think about it is like Monsters Inc. when they figured out like laughter versus fear. It was a lot more power.
That was cute.
Laughter's key.
Yeah.
I guess that's where I come, because I'm naturally just a hard worker. I mean, the second group I joined was Temper Tantrum, because I saw the stream, and the entire. I mean, I'm not the best dancer, but like I can still push myself to be the best dancer without having to go through all that history background of like having the teams that like grounded you to the floor. Luckily, I guess I'm still a baby in this industry.
You are.
Because I don't have as much experience besides just like K-pop and what it is.
You have a chance, Emeroy, to make career experience good. Just keep it that way.
It's time to fuck it up.
You know what it's like.
Next rehearsal, everyone 100 push-ups.
Oh, no. I hated that shit. It made me resistant. It made me lose respect for the person I was working for.
I would leave.
She gonna quit.
Why?
I'd be like, I fucking never did this before.
Like if I know if I royally fucked up, then it's on me. But it's like it's
someone else sit there and tell you, hey, you didn't do that right. You need to do your best.
But knowing our culture,
because that's not constructive.
Yeah.
Right.
knowing our culture would be like, they'd be like, do 100 push-ups. And we'd be like, all right, you and me, well, this is 50 and 50. Right?
You didn't even work. I couldn't be distributed.
Yeah. No, they're not push-ups. There are push-ups.
Solidarity.
Don't show it to me.
What was that basketball movie with
Coach Carter?
Oh, Coach
Coach Bud.
I was at Space Jam.
All right, so we're out of time. Like, any last thoughts in regards to this? I feel like we can keep going. But
Yeah. So, not necessarily Hell Week, but thinking just about it's working hard. It's making sure that your dancers or your people have the ethics behind it. I work at a high school, and so I'm helping out with a track team. And one of the things that I was telling the kids is, because we have the same sort of style of coaching where it's my head coach is like, hey, you guys cannot be going easy. You guys should be feeling like crap at the end of these practices. And it's to instill good habits. And so when I think of a Hell Week, and I think the reason, Mel, why I didn't get to you is because you said you're a hard worker. So you kind of know going into this, like, yo, I got to be giving my 100% because this is something I love. Now, I think this is where it might get a little controversial because I actually do like the idea of a Hell Week. I think kids and we as people, if we're part of a team, we should know that, hey, we need to be giving it our all. And giving or assigning a Hell Week, I think, is more to get the people that don't have those habits and don't understand, oh, well, I'm just going to chill in the back and I'm going to slack off and I'm just going to mark this one. No one's going to know. But if I knew that my crew or my track team, hey, I know all of you guys are going to give 100%, then I don't need to come in there and be the asshole and be like, all right, hey, no, we got to run that again. What was that? No, we're staying another 30 minutes because some of you can't get your shit together. So what I tell the kids is I say, hey, you guys, when you guys are 100% and you're happy and you got your grades, you got all your A's, you took care of all your work, you took care of all your chores, and I say, oh, go do your warm-up laps and then go do your workout, I know you're going to kill it because you're at 100%. I'm looking for the kid that is going through some shit right now in school, is arguing with their best friend, maybe woke up late today, probably has to take care of some makeup homework, and you're still out here. And you're still out here saying, no, coach, I got it. I can still give 100%. I'm ready.
Yeah.
So I don't want just you people here. I don't want fair weather friends. I don't want the people that are going to be here when times are 100% because it's easy to be my friend when times are 100%. I want to see the athlete that's going to say, you know what, coach? I really don't like that you're making me work right now and I'm a little bit pissed off, but I know that I'm a member of this team and they deserve my 100%. And that, I think, is what people want to teach with Hell Weeks. Now, sometimes that goes too far, and sure enough, you got some kid passing out or something like that, and they get the wrong idea, or it gets to the point where it becomes toxic, and it's like, I'm the strongest, everybody here's a fucking weakling, and then there's a disconnect. It's you got to find that balance.
It's the narrative.
How
You
we
have to
get
frame it up for people. They don't know.
Exactly.
Like, they don't know why you're doing this if you don't tell them why you're doing it, and it just becomes like a negative experience for everyone.
I mean, perfect. I think it's interesting that you mentioned it that way too, because it's like it's true with a lot of beginner college crews or or intermediate. There are a lot of crews that are starting. That's the big thing with the beginning is that it's a lot of people going in and out because everybody, they're college kids. They don't know what the heck they're doing. They don't even know why they're there most of the time. But for the people that do understand, oh, I like this. This is what I want to do. I think Hell Week is kind of that thing. It's like, do you actually enjoy this? Or what's your purpose? Is you here to socialize and talk? Or are you here to actually get to work, do your passion? So I do think there's definitely a good balance.
Every day is Hell Week for me.
Yeah, so, but yeah, no, Spillage, you put it right. The Hell Week, it should make or break you. But as a teacher, or just like with the narrative, you need to preface that and say, hey, you guys are probably going to work crazy, crazy hard this week, and some of you will hate it.
Yeah.
But understand that this is here to instill habits and to make you a better dancer. Not every week is going to be like this, and there will be times that are going to be difficult. But if you can make it through this, number one, I'm proud of you as your choreographer or as your teacher, as your coach, and know that this is something that's going to help you in the long run. And it will be difficult.
Where were you in my school?
Essentially. Good.
Well, I was getting my ass kicked.
You don't know your limits, and you explaining to your students like you don't know your limits until you reach them, and when you push a little past them, then you realize how much further your limits are. And like if you never give them an opportunity, so there's like there's a balance. If you never give them the opportunity to push past their limit, then they won't know that they can do that much more, work that much harder, dance that much stronger, whatever it is.
So essentially, it's just like you guys claim working hard. This is what hard looks like.
And then just feeding them, really just feeding people like I'm proud of you for what you did and your effort, and instead of the like you're a bitch, like this could be like,
why can't you do this?
That's literally the difference, because you can put the same amount of effort, but like how the director frames it is really how people walk out into the world, and that's how they'll approach the rest of everything.
I mean, you're right. You're even seeing it now. Like right now, I know that ballet, obviously, especially in like Russia or like France itself in general, it's super strict. It's a strict form of dance. But now it's been quite like popular, famous, like the telling that like they're gonna beat you down. Like these ballet teachers are gonna beat you down. But now I'm seeing videos of these ballet teachers encouraging their students. And I'm like, oh my God, we're changing.
You guys got it. We got it. We're slowly changing.
Because again, the whole narrative thing that's what is taken away. Like if you are terrible, if you work hard and still told you're terrible, is your effort overall and your worth and your identity terrible? Especially with kids.
And if you tell someone to do push-ups because they messed up, then you're just teaching them that like you're not allowed to make mistakes.
Exactly.
I've had my students do push-ups because they didn't show up for their team. I've had my students do push-ups because I'll be like, you three were talking when I was giving instructions, so now you have to do 5 push-ups together.
And it should be used as a disciplinary action, not necessarily an
it's not.
abusive.
If you're telling them to do something because they made a mistake versus having them do something to give back to their team because they didn't show up for their team in a way that they should have is very, very different.
Yeah, just a form of accountability.
It doesn't feel like a correct form of accountability. Like it's just only focusing on yourself, and it's like why don't you work on the things you missed, or why don't you just go over something to be constructive, not just like beat yourself down about it. Or sit in the corner, you know.
Or like don't like. If you're directing a bunch of like 13, 14-year-olds, and then one of them, me, for like the 3rd time rehearsing, it was for a play. I was a dancer in the play, but basically I had to like hit a mark for like a quick like tableau or whatever, and I was in the middle, but there was traffic in the crossover, so I missed and like got to my mark late. The director literally cleared the stage, put me in the middle, and just fucking drilled into me. Like for 5 whole minutes. I was 13. I was like, Did I make that same mistake? Of course, because someone else fucking ran into me because I told her, stay right, I will stay right, so we don't run into each other. But anyway, don't do that.
The only time I was done that was put into the center of the gym while they scolded me on why I was at
Literally. In color guard, whether it be our guard coach or our band director, they had a megaphone. And they just call people out, make them run around the track, they fuck up. And then like we'd also be dying from being in the heat for all day. People were passing out. They were like literally like I remember one time our guard coach was like why? He would like blame us for shit that was happening in his personal life. And so your wife left me because they left. Yeah. Like actually it was Jesus. And some girls were crying, and I'm like, what that was when I was like, okay, I'm about to graduate. I don't give a fuck. Like that was some dumb shit I just heard. I know, like, we were young and impressionable, but I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Kids are smarter too. Kids are getting smarter. They're now being more aware of what is appropriate versus what is inappropriate.
Yeah, like and I almost feel like some people would consider us being soft because of the shit the ideal ways we want, but it's more like, no, we went through some hell, and this is because there's better ways to do things. Because I know a lot of people who are watching this on YouTube, it's going to be your first time, and yes, we are from the States, and I read comments of us being Westerners that don't know what it's like in other worlds.
I do.
I mean, it's a completely different ballgame from what I've heard.
Yeah.
Especially like from different countries, and then and then and it's not to say like we're soft. I mean, some people can perceive us as there's better ways to do things than just being complete assholes, than overworking people, because again, we've seen what happens when it's pushed to that extreme. So
it's easier to be an asshole than to do the right thing. It's easier to be an asshole than to be constructive.
I will say that meeting dancers who've come from other countries and having them experience like being in the United States and then saying, oh, I have to go back like to like my country, they're like, wow, this is different. Like this is like this is crazy. I've learned a lot, and like you guys do things like a lot differently. And I think we also have proof that the way that we do things works.
Well, psychological studies.
Yeah. And like there are like amazing international teams that like place and they do like really well. And like, but the thing that I'm seeing now, like in our community, is that we still have ethic to work hard, be amazing dancers, and also be good people to each other.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, from what I've heard from international competition teams, it's a totally different ballgame, because it's not, for some teams, it's not like for us where we're kind of individualistic, or we're as a crew, they're representing that country sometimes. And I've heard that some teams, if they lose, they literally cry, not because, oh, we lost. They cry because they have to get sent back home. They can't do this anymore because they represent that country. And it's like that with a lot of foreigners that come here. It's just the nature of, it's a totally different like world that I can't even imagine versus us. So the perceiving of them seeing that we're soft, it's totally understandable, because they have a different outlook when it comes to following their passions, because in their eyes, that's what their passion is.
Right.
That's part of it now.
There's a lot more at stake for them.
It's a lot more at stake.
But if you can get a better result by going about it a different way, then why would it, like, I don't know, like there's so much psychology and like neuroscience and studies that prove that positive reinforcement is 10 million times better than negative reinforcement. That telling a kid, well, first off, like a child's name is their, or even any person, the sound of your name is one of the most beautiful sounds that you hear. It's like been shown in studies that people really respond positively to hearing their name. But if you're only hearing your name followed by reprimands, followed by negative comments, then, and the tone of voice, then it's no longer something to be excited by. But if you hear your teacher say, or your coach say somebody's name, say like Spillers, I loved how you attacked that specific move with direct compliments that aren't just like, you did good, like specific things. Kids and adults are going to start to try to exhibit the behavior that you complimented on somebody else, so they can hear their name and hear a compliment to them. And that's going to cause them to work harder without you having to tell them to work harder. You just complimenting the other people in the room is going to make them want to hear their name said and hear a compliment.
See, that more you can learn from her.
Wait, no,
All right, anything else?
We need a translator, guys.
This being my first official year with Temper Tantrum, being complimented on my dancing was a foreign concept, is still kind of a foreign concept. I think when we were learning Closer, like your choreo for Closer, and then you said, oh, you did so well. I was like, what? What is that? Like, because again, like before, because Temper Tantrum is the first team I ever joined, period, after high school. And because like in high school, I was in cheer, I was in dance, I was in theater, and I didn't get any compliments most of the time. Most of the comments on my performance was when I fucked up. If I didn't fuck up, it was just like, yeah, normal, expected. That's what I want from you. It's never, oh, you did well, like that was good. It was always, you know, I missed my mark once, and then you were like, no, you fucked up, you suck. And like that was all I expected. Like the only comments I expected on any of my performance was, you suck.
Yeah.
And then like hearing a compliment, like, oh, you did well. Or like even when, you know, you told me I made it onto the team, I'm like, are you sure? Is this a joke? Is this a joke?
I think that's what the board does really well in general. I feel like that's what not just the board in terms of like, well, the board as well, but as well as like this, the board kind of sets the tone because they are technically the role models of the team. So if they do well and teach us these things, then obviously we're gonna monkey see, monkey do, copy everything else. And it's even better because each person that continues coming into the team brings that energy to
More
now.
passion.
Yeah, more. It's like now we got complimenting each other every time we go. We hug the minute we see each other. We say good morning. We say, how's your day? It's not like we're just like
Clocking in. So
yeah.
I've never been on a team where everyone felt like they had to say hi to me.
Shut the fuck
Why were you talking to me? There was one 8 a.m. rehearsal that I walked into and I was like, and you were like, good morning! And every single person, hi! And I was like, oh my god, you guys, it's 8 a.m. Like, I love it.
We're compensating.
I've only been on the team for like a couple months and I love it. It's such a positive experience, like so much positive energy, and everyone in the room sees everyone in the room. Like there's nobody in the space that is like ignored or felt like or feels like they're not part of the group. Like everyone sees everybody. And you know, at 8 a.m. sometimes maybe I don't want to be singing. But like
There was that practice. I have the same experience. There was this day, it was 8 a.m. practice. My wife and I, we come in, Christina and I walk in, and at 8 a.m. I'm just dead. Because we have practice on the weekends. I teach during the weekdays, so I'm always waking up super early. And I hate to say it, but for my job, I try to sleep as early as I can. But that Friday night, I'm up till like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. So I guarantee I came into practice probably with like 2 hours of sleep or something. And I walk in and it was Brandon. He looks at me, he goes, hey, you all right, man? I'm like, what? I'm fine.
How'd I get here?
Tired. And this dude comes over and he's like, you look like you need a hug. And then like, all of y'all
Brandon doesn't hug.
No, he did. I don't know why.
Okay.
And so then all you guys started coming over like, oh, let's give a hug. And in my head, I'm like, I did not want this. I like it, but like, I'm like, you guys, I don't, thank y'all, but I don't need this attention right now. I'm just tired.
It's funny because you could tell because like the early birds and who's like, oh,
You need a hug.
Me, I think it was the same practice that I was sleeping on the bench, and Emma was like, let's go to the wall, and I was like,
we sat on the wall next to each other, and I was
And
like,
they just slept
it's
on
too
each other.
early, and she goes, I'm not ready to socialize.
She sat on the bench and I was just like,
I was like, this is it. And then I fell asleep.
Wait till
Then I
retreat.
woke up.
oh, she knows. Oh, here you go.
I'm serious.
It's nice. Oh no, just specific, but like, hey, us morning people, don't let that screw up the vibe. It's awesome. I love it.
Really?
I love
it's
it.
just it's too damn early.
But for that to be the problem, like to be on a company where the problem is that people are too nice and too welcoming, you're all just like, what a nice problem to have.
How was your day today?
You got complimented today?
There's snacks for you guys. And then there's And we had to provide recovery tools. We cough and
Yeah.
What a fantastic.
We're all waiting for the other shoe to drop. We're just like, yo, this is.
Tabasco with his first aid kit.
Breakdancing happening in the corner all of a sudden at 8 a.m.
Don't even get me started on retreats. Was it like 6 hours?
6 hours, 7 hours.
9 hours?
Oh yeah, 6 hour freestyle
Sounds like
sessions.
Yeah, those are
He's like, I'm ready.
Wake up in the morning to still continue that.
Yeah, like the retreats would be like after all the activities are done, people are still freestyling, but we're like, dance to this song.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
Or like yes, or some people you were asleep. Like 3 in the morning, and then they're like, all right,
And then
Mel,
she just
wake
woke
up, your turn.
By the way, a lot of people that were like asleep at like 2, 3 in the morning while people are still freestyling, and then they hear a song, they wake up, they fucking nail it, and they go back to sleep.
Yeah.
Sounds like Noelle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because yeah, people just want it to be around the energy, but they're just too tired to dance, so just snap, hear a song.
He literally came to life just for that song.
And now.
All I'm gonna say is at the end of this year, I just hope that everyone can take compliments well, because I do. It does hurt me my soul a little bit because I have that issue too, where it's like someone calls me up. What the fuck's wrong?
Are you lying to me?
So I've had friends who like they'll say like from the other side of giving the compliment is like, okay, you did really well, and then from the other person, no, I did shit, and then you're like, okay, so
Do you want to say your shit?
yeah, or like you're saying, okay, so you're saying that I'm lying to you?
Oh. Or you're saying I don't know what I'm talking about.
You say like you're like no, like hearing that perspective, honestly, that changed like the way that I take compliments. I was like,
especially if you care about the person.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to.
I'm like this dancer who's danced like on not like on company. She did Wicked International Tour, like, and she's telling me that I did well. I'm believing her.
I'm crying.
I did well.
I'm gonna cry at this point.
Okay, last thoughts?
So just like a thought, like whoever's watching this, if this is like your first time trying to like figure out where you are in a dance community or any community in general, listen to your brain, your heart, your gut, because no one should have to go through any type of toxicity, whatever that environment may be. So just, listen to your heart to be too, like, just listen to yourself. And if you see something that's a clear red flag for you personally, you don't have to be there for that. Like, you don't have to force yourself to be a part of something just because it's something that, drives you or it's something that you're very passionate about. There's no sense of doing that if you replace your passion with pain. So just follow your heart and, do what you feel is right for yourself. And if you want to grow in that community, whatever it may be for yourself, then, just be aware of your surroundings, find good company and friends to, help you along the way. And, life is chill. So, do what you got to do.
Passion over pain.
Yeah.
Pain is your passion.
Alright, so that's it. Thank you everyone for watching. Do all the things. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.